Hi everyone, I'm Nadia.
Hi, I'm Aaleia.
Hi, I'm Nameera.
And this is Operation Tomatometer.
So, first things first, welcome back to Nadia.
Welcome back, Nadia.
So, we missed you a lot. We had a whole episode without you. So sorry. So yeah, if you haven't seen that, go check that out, where Aaleia, our executive producer, Elliot, and I all watched the newest Netflix film, Don't Look Up. So, go check that out.
It was a great episode. I really enjoyed watching it. And thank you. It's great to be back. But going right into it, remember to rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. All you have to do is look up Operation Tomatometer and scroll down to the bottom and rate us 5 stars. We have 50 reviews now, which means we are a quarter of the way there to getting certified. It's that simple, and everything is linked below in the description.
So, what are we covering today, guys?
Well, if you haven't been living inside the Matrix, or maybe you are, then you'd know. Come on.
No.
Then you know about the franchise's newest film, The Matrix Resurrections.
So, the original film, which is just titled The Matrix, came out in 1999 and was revolutionary in the world of science fiction film, and it also revolutionized a technique known as bullet time, which I'm sure everyone is familiar with. So, it shows a dystopian future in which humans had AI, which turned out to be sentient, and they mistreated them, and they eventually go to war with each other. And eventually humans realized they were no match for the machines, and they were eliminated or sent to the Matrix because the sky was scorched out by the humans, they no longer had solar energy, and so the machines ended up needing to feed on human life for support.
Yes, now, with this 4th movie in the franchise, it covers events 60 years later, following the Matrix revolutions. It follows Thomas Anderson, the main character of the entire franchise, who is also known as Neo, who is trying to figure out and determine whether his reality is a physical or mental construct, and once again, Neo has to choose between the red or blue pill. Now, with his memory resurfacing at some point in the film, he now knows what he must do, and he tries to reunite with Trinity and free her from the Matrix.
So now let's get into our Rotten or Not segment, where we're going to put our heads together to try to predict what the tomato heads at Rotten Tomatoes gave the film. So first we're going to start with the critics' score. So what do we think critics gave the film?
So I think the critics would have given this film a 64%. I feel like just the premise and plot in itself would have been seen as a little unnecessary, almost like this 4th movie shouldn't have really happened. Just to erase its existence. But I just kind of feel like it was a little redundant of the earlier movies, but I'll go more into that later.
Well, I'm not really sure if it happened. Sorry, that was a very poor Matrix joke. I kind of agree with you there. I actually gave it, I think it's going to be around like a 61%, only because critics might have also been like the plot was a little obscure at times, and it was kind of poorly paced.
So I'm going to go a little lower than you guys. Those are very specific scores, but I'm going to say it's around, I wanted to say a 50, but maybe more a 55. They did a lot of things very well, and the critics' score was probably in the middle right there. So now, will our lovely producer please hand us the critics' score?
Drum roll. Oh!
Wow.
Whoa!
63!
That's insane, Nadia.
Wow. I'm close. But the last time I was this close was Squid Game.
Oh, okay.
That was so long ago.
I'm shocked.
Wow.
I didn't think it was going to be that high.
I mean, hey. My
Hey.
critiquing skills.
I was only 2 points off.
Alright, so I mean, but you were still very close. A 55 to 63 is only math 8 points? Guys, right?
Nah, let's keep the math. Not here. Alright, yeah, so that was the critics score, but like, personally, as audience members, what do you guys think the audience might have rated this movie?
Well, there's a debate if we think they would have gone lower or higher. Right now, my guess is 70 for audience. I think they would have been generally close to the critic score. I feel like there might have been a general distaste for this film, but I still think that some fans would have felt, it came back after, 20 years? I mean, fans, you gotta appreciate seeing Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss on the same screen again. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just in itself pretty cool, so I think some points for that. What do you guys think?
Well, after that weird eye contact, I I do want to agree with Nadia. I did also rate it a 70 personally because I feel like as someone who hasn't seen the first Matrix, like going into this movie blind was a bit of a challenge, and I definitely had to like really focus on this movie. And I think sometimes that became a little like too like niche, like something that I couldn't really catch up with.
Yeah.
So I need to have that context, and I couldn't fully like acknowledge it or like appreciate it for what it is. So sometimes like that kind of held me back. I think that like the technicalities were done really well, like VFX and all of those things. Like it looked great on the screen. Like I really like that.
So I agree that the audience score was very close to the critics' score. What did you say that your guess
70.
was? 70?
Hey.
So I'm going to say it is a 65 since the critics' score is a 63.
Okay.
Because I feel like it is very close. The audience would have had maybe the same reservations about it as critics would have. One thing that I noticed that fans might not have been happy about was that there was no actual bullet time in it, as far as I could tell. They mentioned bullet time, like within the world of the film, but that's a very different thing from like what we know as bullet time, like what the original film revolutionized. I spent the entire film waiting for that. Where was it? They had many opportunities to do it as well.
Did.
So now will our lovely producer hand us the audience score?
Whoa. Wow!
It's the exact same.
Wow! I actually wasn't really expecting that.
So we were right that it is very close.
We were right.
Do we agree with this? Because we said we agreed with the critics' score, so now that we know that both give the same.
I mean, we're a blend of critics and audience, so
yeah.
I do agree with both.
Me too.
I do. I think it makes sense because I've seen some people, like on my YouTube recommended some, fan reviews. I've seen some people say that The Matrix Resurrection wasn't good and that some people were disappointed by it, even big fans of The Matrix. So it's disappointing to see, but I agree because as someone who did watch the previous 3 films, I was disappointed with the 4th film.
I agree. Like, I feel like The Matrix is not like bringing, like, Resurrection is not bringing like a very like large quantity of like a new audience. So it's like it is those people who have like watched like the past 3 films, and so when they come into this, they probably have like sky high expectations, and I feel like a lot of the expectations may have been met, but only slightly. I feel like that's kind of like the main issue here.
I disagree. I don't think that people would have come into it with very high expectations. I didn't. I thought that it was going to be more Matrixy, but I didn't think that it was going to be, anywhere in comparison.
Yeah,
to the first film.
I mean, it's both like a blend of you have high expectations because you hope it's going to be as exciting and, you see your favorite franchise come back, but then at the same time, nothing will compare to the first 3 films. Well, going now into my critiques for it, I think the film itself recognizes that, and it was a little too on the nose for me with multiple reference. I think fan servicing is good, and I know we mentioned this in Ghostbusters. You can do it well, and there's a payoff that's very satisfying, but I just feel like The Matrix for me was a little too fan servicey. I think they referenced their old films too much. Like, they consistently had flashback clips, which was nice to see, but then a part of me was like, I'd rather be watching those right now and not this 4th film. It was just, with where it was going, and they kept doing flashbacks, I'm like, oh, the first movie was really good, and I'm like, but I'm over here watching the 4th one. So it shouldn't make me feel like that. So it was kind of disappointing. And I just felt like they were banking a lot on those films and those flashbacks and the nostalgia, because they even have a line on it. What is it? The program Morpheus says to Neo, like, sometimes to jog your memory, you need a little nostalgia or something. And then even Jonathan Groff's character, Agent Smith, and he was very on the nose with, like, the analogies. And he was, because, in that, like, that scene at the beginning where he's like, a reboot, and they're talking about their game, but everyone knows it's about the Matrix, and it's like it's exactly what's happening. It's like, oh, that's a little too on the nose for me.
It's almost fourth wall breaking, but not quite. So a lot of the film revolved around Neo and Trinity and their relationship, and Neo trying to get her back, even though she still believes that she's Tiffany. So I was wondering what you guys thought about their whole romance going on. One thing that I noticed was that the camera movements and just the different shots that were used changed a lot depending on what the scene was focusing on, or at least that's what I noticed. the camera was, the movements and the shots were much simpler for the romance scenes, or just like the one in the cafe, I believe, when he was talking to her for the first time. And just very simple back and forth shots, and that's in juxtaposition to the fight scenes, which use like much fancier camera movements, even if there was no bullet time.
Okay.
Oh, we will never let that go. Never let that go.
I like all the slow motion that they use, though.
I mean,
But-
yes, that's also, relevant to bullet time, right? The
Yeah,
slow
and they didn't
motion.
use it during the romance scenes because that would have been weird. But but what did you guys think about their whole relationship and everything?
I do love their relationship. It is like a main driving force of the Matrix movies, especially the fourth one. That's like basically the whole premise as he tries to reunite with her. But I mean, so of course they have great chemistry. I love their characters and the relationship they have. I just feel like you said, with the first one it maybe was too abrupt, but by the third film their relationship is well developed and, impactful. So then it has a lot of emotional weight with this film. But again, I just kind of felt like it was a little redundant because we saw them fall. I mean, it's a plot we've seen before, like someone loses their memory and you try to make them fall in love with you again.
Yeah, I think that, like, personally, I like the aspect, I like a little romance once in a while.
Yeah.
I think it wasn't too soppy.
Yeah.
It was well done. I think it was, like, good in terms of, causing, like, the other hour of the movie. I think that was, like, the main thing. I was like, how am I going to pull another hour? And then I realized, I'm going to go save her.
So another one of my favorite scenes, the favorite part that I think everyone shares, probably, is the bullet that was very slowly
Here
coming
we go.
toward Trinity. Which
Aaliyah's
also wasn't in bullet time. It wasn't in bullet
As
time.
close enough as it gets.
That's as close as it gets.
They threw you a bone.
They threw- just to make Aaliyah happy. They'll put a bullet in there. And
And we just see Neo's anxiety as the bullet gets
Yeah.
closer and closer, and then the analyst just snatches it out of the air at the very last possible second. Is that what happened?
yeah, but yeah, I thought that was really cool. I thought the analyst was a great character. I mean, Neil Patrick Harris was really, of course, he's great. He's a good actor. He's really good. Only thing is that I felt like, again, not to be a broken record, but with the analyst, I didn't really see the reason to have Agent Smith. I mean, he already died how many times, and he keeps coming back every film. He keeps coming back. And then now, 20 years later, I go into he's here again?
Very
Are you
soap
kidding?
operatic.
What if he never died?
He never dies.
But I really, like, enjoyed his character. I just think that it's really
Analyst?
interesting. Get the analyst.
Yeah, he was great.
I think it's so interesting that he was, like, the therapist to begin with.
Yeah.
Of Neo before, when he was Thomas Anderson, like, kind of like that type of Neo, before knowing. So he's had all this time to, like, harness all of Thomas Neo's concerns.
Yeah.
And kind of, like, he keeps telling him, like, oh yeah, it's you're not, like, crazy.
Yeah.
You're kind of that. Like, it's interesting to see that. And I would think it's, like, funny to see at the end where
Oh, yeah,
it's like
at the end, with
at the end he's kind of like defeated almost, and it's like they keep torturing him, and it's like, oh, okay.
That was very satisfying.
That
to
was
be honest.
so satisfying. And, like, you use children. I love that line. That was good.
Oh, you just reminded me. Yeah, that was a really good line.
Because that was the one thing that was pulling, like, literally and physically pulling Trinity's character going back to being like Tiffany almost.
Yeah.
And I think that was, like, good. We could tell that the analyst is devious. He knows both Trinity and Neo very well.
And their weaknesses, yeah.
Right? But he regrets to realize when they're together what they can do. It's kind of interesting because he remade them himself.
Yeah.
Right. So one last thing before we wrap up, let's just talk about the zombie apocalypse that happens toward the end, which it wasn't actually zombies, for those of you who haven't seen it. But
They're like, where's the Matrix going in this fourth film?
But I love this scene, even though it blew my mind because of how absolutely insane it was. But I was so happy that we got to see this, because this is something that we never knew that we wanted, but we needed this. We needed to see the Matrix interact with random people on the streets, and they all
Yeah.
just run wild.
It was actually kind of disturbing, and my mom was very disturbed when we saw, like, these normal humans be, like, possessed or whatever by the Matrix, and then they jump out of their buildings, and that just shot of seeing bodies plop to the floor, it was very disturbing and morbid, but, I mean, definitely sci-fi.
In terms of, like, showing that power, honestly, like, I like how it, like, kind of cut back to, like, how they were plugged in, and we can see, like, their bodies jump up. That's
Yeah.
like
Right.
I really like that like throughout the entire film because we get to understand that they're really inside this completely different
Yeah.
universe where they're getting killed, they're getting like hurt, and I think that just like kind of like snaps us back to show us like how powerful the Matrix is and why this is even like a quest at all.
So even if we didn't necessarily need a fourth movie, I think it was a pretty good film. It wasn't one of the best ones that we've seen, but it was nice to see something come back after 20-something years. So
Yeah.
it was very nostalgic, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah, I can appreciate it too. Like, for me, I've gone as far into sci-fi as Donnie Darko, then I stopped. But I'm honestly just, I really want to go see the rest of the entire like
Yes.
franchise now. Like, I'm planning to do that over this weekend. And I think that's kind of a feat from this movie, at the very least. You know, one more fan.
It definitely had some good points of the film. I'm still on an objective point. I don't think it was that great. I mean, of course, in comparison to the first three. But I mean, again, like I said earlier, I can't complain seeing them again on the screen. It's just cool. So that's it.
Oh, wait, can we all agree? The scoring for this film was actually really nice. I really enjoyed the score because it's
Oh yeah,
It's just like a
for a
really
second I thought
great
you were talking about Rotten Tomatoes
Oh, no.
scoring.
no. Just
yes,
the
the
musical score.
Yeah.
It was very good.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, this is our 10th episode.
Wait,
We've
really?
reached a milestone.
Oh my gosh, 10 episodes.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, everybody, for watching.
That's awesome. 10 episodes stuck with you guys.
Goodbye.
Yeah,
Many more
every
to come.
episode I've loved, and here's to many more.
Alright, so this has been Operation Tomatometer. Make sure to rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and to subscribe to The Classic on YouTube. And keep an eye out for future episodes. We'll be doing some really exciting stuff, and we're so excited to keep this going. Thank you so much for 10 episodes, and for everyone who's been supporting us, and to everyone behind the scenes.
Yes. I joke, but really it's been a fantastic journey, and I thank you for giving me a place to talk about films. I love not shutting up about them, so thank you.
Wait, are we doing like Oscar speeches? Okay. Thank you to everyone on this. No, just thank you guys for watching. Really, it means a lot to us. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye bye.